All right, greetings everybody. Keith here, hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. And of course, I want to remind everybody to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And if you're on Hecklebus, get over to El Perro and do so. And likewise, if you're on El Perro, get over to Hecklebus and hit that like, share, and subscribe. There's a PayPal button down in the comments, and I am pasting the StreamYard link for anybody who wants to join the panel. And we're actually going to be talking about the copyright of the UPU and the bit non-bit of it. And basically, it comes down again to the origins of the terms and conditions being placed in all of these writings. And I want people to pay attention to this copyright as it relates to the term comment, which I've discussed before in its etymological means is com means with, and then ment, ment, means mentality. So it's with thought. And before it becomes real, and it's only with thought, whether it be spoken or written and not actually tangible yet, any thought is just an invention, fabrication, and fiction. And again, the comment from that thought, whether it be spoken or written, is still a invention, fabrication, and fiction of the mind. It's an imagination at that point. So as we look at this, and this is something I've showed everybody before, when it comes to my site, and the fact that on the very first page, as you'll see and notice, as the liner on the video itself, it says under copyright and disclaimer of the Universal Postal Union, fair use, free education, not for commercial use. That's that banner that's running across the bottom of the video there in purple. And then you'll see right above that, as the screen is being shared, it says protection of fair use, UPU disclaimer and copyright. The very first thing on the home page. Very first thing on the home page. So let's take a look at that. Copyright, or excuse me, protection of fair use, UPU disclaimer and copyright from the Journal of Keith Orland Little, FBU, issued by Keith. Keith is the flesh and blood image and likeness of Jesus Christ, who is surety for the manual motivator of the living soul with prior spiritual guidance to walk with him solely. Made in good faith with considerable conscience, thought, and observance, and in seeking providence of our Creator's grace. Rigor juris, strictly law. And what I want everybody to pay attention to, all these are my own comments. So again, they're only mere inventions, fabrications, and fictions at this point when I placed them here. However, since they've stood in law or in the public domain and never been rebutted, they become truth in law. They become truth in law, just like the man becomes a living soul. These words are given a breath of life. This original literary work of our Declaration in opinion is transmitted through the mails of the United States, or is not transmitted through the mails of the United States, but delivered through the post office and its routing systems. consisting of the World Wide Web and et al. All others. Non-domestic and without the United States, meaning foreign. No letters of incorporation recorded or filed or registered. Produced with the following and hereby adopted for ratification and enforcement if needed. UPU, which is Universal Postal Union, disclaimer and copyright justifying all sources within their public domain known as the Union and only known to be a territory in fact and not in nature. And their disclaimer, this is a copy paste from their site. Anyone may use or reproduce any information presented on this website subject to any specific terms of use that might appear with such information. So the terms of use that appear with the use of this information is protection of fair use. Provided that the use of such information is accompanied by an acknowledgement that the UPU is the source. Now, why would I make this claim? Because the UPU, as the Universal Postal Union, has all things posted. All accounting, whether it be a historical accounting, a financial accounting, a political accounting, a municipal accounting, a county accounting, a state accounting, a federal accounting, a government accounting, a private accounting, a public accounting, they're all accountings. And what are you counting? The UPU makes every effort to ensure, much like insure, but cannot and does not guarantee and makes no warranties as to the accuracy, accessibility, integrity, and timeliness of any information presented on this website. The UPU assumes no liability or responsibility for any errors or omissions in the content of this website, and further disclaims any liability of any future or any nature for any loss howsoever caused. Do you understand the nature and cause in connection with using this website, including failure of performance per the form? This is an informal artistic creation. Inform all. Computer virus or communication line failure, regardless of cause or for any damage resulting therefrom. The UPU may make changes to these materials at any time without notice. Hyperlinks to other websites are provided as a convenience only. So if you want to take upon a convenience, I suggest you take upon the convenience of the knowledge without any liability, just like they do. And imply neither responsibility for nor approval of the information contained in those other websites on the part of the UPU. And why are they claiming this? Hyperlinks to other websites. The information contained in those other websites on the part of the UPU. Because again, it's a posting. This site, as a .art, I am posting my own original works. And they can't vouch for these other websites. So when I give you a link to another website, they're not going to vouch for those either. The UPU makes no warranty, either express or implied, as to the accuracy, availability, reliability, or content of such information, texts, graphics, and hyperlinks. The UPU has not tested any software located on other sites and does not make any representations as to the quality, safety, reliability, or suitability of such software. As the case regarding the nature and cause, whenever you have a court case, as a case may be, the collection and retention of personal information in that case by the UPU through its website may be subject to the terms of a UPU privacy policy. That privacy policy is the data elements that go up and down the line from the administrative courts that are all operational and administrative of the judicial governments of all of the nations, wherein they all come together in a postal congress and donate a tithe to the International Monetary Fund, of which every nation has a central bank as a private entity that operates through that funding that originally comes from the gross domestic products of the sweat equity labor of the people that originated that value. Nothing in or relating to this disclaimer or the UPU website shall be deemed a waiver, explicit or implied, of any of the privileges and immunities of the UPU. None of it. And therefore produced with the following and hereby adopted. We adopted it under the same conditions. We accept no liabilities for any of the hyperlinks we connect up. None of the information we collect. You'll see a lot of it's from the Postal Service, the IRS, and various other government agencies. And we're not going to validate those either. Every one of these. This is a term used in a comment that many people call a sentence within a paragraph, within a series of paragraphs of a whole statement. All invention, fabrication, and fiction of somebody else. I don't know the origination of this term as it relates to the man that made that determination of his own mental capacity. I would have to be able to go back and be able to meet that mind and agree with him in order to make this a valid thing for me. Copyright. And it's copyrighted. And they're copyrighting 2020 Universal Postal Union - all rights reserved. Now, as far as I know, you can't copyright a name. None of the materials provided on this website may be used, reproduced, or transmitted in whole or in part, in any form or by any means, electronic or mechanical, including photocopying, recording, or the use of any information storage and retrieval system, except as provided for in this website. See the disclaimer section. So as long as you let them know that it comes from the Universal Postal Union and that there are no responsibilities or liabilities held for any of the information or any of the software or any of the original sources, that's all there is. What they're saying is you have to make sure that you are responsible and liable for your own harm and damage that you might bring upon yourself by claiming any of this shit to be true. You're not supposed to be making claims. You're supposed to be asking questions about the claims. Without permission in writing from the UPU or publisher concerned. Without permission in writing from the UPU. This is a writing of the UPU, and they state that provided that use of such information is accompanied by an acknowledgement that UPU is the source. This is your acknowledgement. This is the source of my copyright, and my disclaimer is their copyright and their disclaimer. The same copyright and same disclaimer that Facebook and many other companies use under fair use. It doesn't cost them a dime. All they did was adopt it. And some of them made certain amendments for their own uses of commentary. Access to databases as it relates to data elements. That mentality of the data being provided of the UPU for consultation of documents and or information retrieval is permitted by the UPU, subject to the user's acceptance of UPU's provisions and conditions of copyright contained within each document. Within each document, which obliges the user not to duplicate the documents or parts thereof for distribution or sale external to the user's organization. So I can exact them and then distribute them amongst my own external organization, but not externally from that. Without prejudice to the foregoing obligations, such information may be utilized. This is a utility as it relates to your utilities in the receiving organization as required to further the work of the UPU. So as I receive it, I am required to further the work of the UPU. And when we look at the UPU, the Constitution, the preamble, and the first article, freedom of transit is guaranteed. And their most vital element in that preamble is to upgrade their communications with people, to provide guidance for product or service development and implementation, and to serve as support documentation associated with a product or service. So when I use one of their products or services, such as a Form 68 or a PS Form 68 or 6387, Rural Money Order Transaction Application, and one of their very own workers turns it down, that is dishonor of an instrument presented and drawn upon certain conditions in honor, returned for that equal consideration, and then was dishonored by refusal. That means it's paid by their own terms. Let me take a break and welcome everybody. Let me see who all's here. Let me see. Gotta wait for my pages, of course. Still working on gotta get my other laptop into the shop tomorrow. Matter of fact, finally got the funds to get that in. Greetings, Norman Longstaff, Gen V. Anybody else out there? It's not showing me anybody else on the other platforms. Of course, I don't have any viewers on Hecklebus. It doesn't seem, at least any, but nobody's commenting. Yeah, it says I'm the only one watching. So all we can hope to do is have everybody remind each other to hit the like, share, and subscribe button. If you're on Hecklebus, get over to El Perro. If you're on El Perro, get over to Hecklebus and do the same. Hit the like, share, and subscribe button. There's a PayPal button, a link down there, and a StreamYard link for anybody that wants to come up. And we're going to get back to it. Then we continue on with, we support and adopt these notices in ministry and unity of freedom of transit, as it says in the first article, pursuant to the 1611 version of the King James version, 1611 version of the King James Bible at Psalms chapter 121, in verse 8, wherein it states, the Lord shall preserve thy going out, thy coming in, from this time forth, and even forevermore. That's a pre-serving. He served me first, and you accepted his service so that you could provide your service. No other way around it. 391 AD. The conversion of the polytheistic Roman, Greco-Roman deities under the Hippocratic system, wherein the Roman Empire made an agreement with the Pope for a monotheistic religion guidance system. This was the establishment of the Roman courts and their control over all of the people. And of course, the Pope's claim to the living souls of all men, when that can't be. That's blasphemy right there. Then there's Memorandum of Understanding between the Federal Communications Commission and the Universal Service Administrative Company. Again, it is patently observable that there's a preservation prior to your serving of any administration through a corporation of persons in peonage, person, age, all of it. The Berne Convention for the Protection of Literary and Artistic Works, Paris, Texas, 1971. The countries of the Union being equally animated, animated, by the desire to protect in as effective and uniform a manner as possible the rights of authors in their literary and artistic works, recognizing the importance of the work of the Revision Conference held at Stockholm in 1967, have resolved to revise the act adopted by the Stockholm Conference, while maintaining without change Articles 1 to 20 and 22 to 26 of the Act. Currently, the undersigned plenipotentiaries, those are the presidents that come forth in that postal Congress, they take care of all the administration of all of the country's affairs as a P resident. And you have to first live as a resident to one day hope to become a P resident. Having presented their full powers, in the Postal Congress, recognized as in good and due form by presenting that tithe of the gross domestic product. A gentleman always announces his presence, and he comes bearing gifts. Have agreed as follows: creation of the Union, literary and artistic works, blah, blah, blah. You can read that. All you got to do is go to my page, read, and follow up on these links. Article 1, developing countries unable to comply. So as I'm not a country or a nation, every nation realizes their roots come from the family of one man. And before that country was established, it was in a developmental phase. And as I've said many times, this stuff doesn't happen overnight, so it's not going to be resolved overnight. It is a process. Do being duties. You have a duty to love thy neighbor as yourself and be patient and comprehensive of what they're doing and what you're doing in all things, particularly when you speak and write things down. Because again, I want to remind people, actions speak louder than words. So if you're going to speak or write words, learn how to coin them so they present an accurate or correct value. And again, we have another short one tonight. As I said, oops, what do we got here? Wrong one. As I said, we have nobody on panel. I very rarely get anybody on panel. And so I'm going to drop my link site for anybody that is still in the chat. And I would hope you at least go check it out. Check out those links. Remember those articles 1 through 20 and 20 through, or 20 through 22 through 26 were the ones they amended here. And as I've said before, I believe it's articles 27 through 30 or 30 something, 32, I think, maybe, are the actual contract terms that any country can accept to operate in that in the commercial venue, which is in the mails, rather than operating as a pass-through and allowing things to pass through the mails, like it stated earlier. So think about this stuff. And remember, folks, I love you, and I don't give a rat's ass whether you love me back or not. God bless. Have a good night. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it all. And remember, hit that PayPal button and share some love if you can. And hit those like buttons, the share button, and the subscribe button to help the algorithms to get this information out. Everybody can use it. It's simple. It's the beginnings of placing what is true and correct in, on, and for a record. Make sure it's your record and not theirs. God bless. Have a good night.